There is no doubt that immigration remains one of the most divisive issues, not only in America, but here in the Northwest. As our cities and now state pass sanctuary laws, ICE agents are all but shut out. They get little cooperation from local jurisdictions, while at the same time, they're increasing enforcement actions under President Donald Trump. This week, the local ICE field office director had this to say to our state officials.
Enough is enough. While there are varied opinions on what immigration law in this country should be, current law must be adhered to and enforced. And ICE's focus on arresting illegal aliens with criminal convictions and pending charges should not be even remotely controversial. Washington State's misguided sanctuary law has not made your communities safer. Quite the opposite. It has made them less safe, returning dangerous criminals to the street while tying the hands of local law enforcement officers trying to keep offenders off the streets.
So this past week, ICE arrested 1,300 people across the country as part of an emphasis, and that included arrests here in Western Washington. I was there for a series of actions that agents took in Kitsap County, including several arrests that have landed them and us at the center of controversy.
We got a lead on that one. It's pretty good.
It's 4 in the morning. Agents with Immigration and Customs Enforcement are meeting in the parking lot of a grocery store in Port Orchard.
The primary target has access to firearms.
About 20 agents are getting ready to carry out enforcement actions around Kitsap County, from Port Orchard to Poulsbo.
Any other questions?
ICE allowed us to observe. Our goal, to see who they target and why. Everyone on their radar for this action has deportation orders from an immigration judge. All have either been removed from the country before, have prior criminal convictions, or both.
The location is going to be with 2 Mexican nationals, one who was previously removed 7 times.
Mike Melendez is a deputy field office director for ICE.
Mixed bag of driving under the influence, domestic violence, no contact order, criminal trespassing, all guilty convictions. Hit and run, property damage.
What about any other people you might encounter that aren't the direct subject of today's operation, but folks who you encounter who maybe are not in the country legally?
Normally what we do is if we encounter those, we consider incidentals. We'll make a determination on whether or not to charge them and then put them in removal proceedings to see an immigration judge.
Our first location is a quiet street in Bremerton. We arrive while many are still asleep.
I'm set up right behind the target address.
ICE sets up and goes dark, watching a house of interest from the front and the back.
Most recent utilities on this was August of this year, and it's to the target, so he lives there.
While a few people come and go, the man they're looking for does not, and the sun is starting to come up.
Yeah, this is it's a struggle sometimes.
Melendez heads to another location, this time in search of 2 brothers in Port Orchard.
From what we've seen on intelligence is that they normally go pick each other up. Well, one brother picks up the other brother and then they go to work. So we'll see if that is going to be the case today.
Again, ICE is spread out. Agents watch a house where they saw at least one of the brothers arrive earlier in the morning. We sit in a parking lot nearby and listen as agents radio in descriptions of vehicles leaving that house and heading our direction.
He's going north right now. Team 1, you want to go ahead and move in?
The first is a white truck with a trailer.
He's coming up to...
It passes us. Agents follow.
That's the other one of our vehicles right there.
The truck pulls into a gas station where the occupants get out and ICE agents move in.
So it looks as if all of them, doing a field interview, admitted they're here illegally, all Mexicans. So they'll go in and we'll process them.
But none are the brothers ICE was searching for.
You know, for the argument people have about, here are three people, they're clearly contributing to society in some way on their way to work. Are those the people that we should be removing?
We prioritize our cases, based on the worst of the worst, those who pose threats to public safety. But when we target those, inevitably we encounter what we consider incidentals. They can come back as non-criminals. We have the authority to take an action on a case like that.
As this is happening, agents say they followed another truck from the same house to the parking lot of a grocery store where the driver bailed and tried to run on foot. This time, the man is one of the brothers ICE had been searching for.
Looks like he was previously encountered by us in 2012. He has convictions for 2 DUIs, driving under the influence, and assault 4.
As they clear that scene, it's not long before another call comes over the radio. The description of a third truck ICE says left the same house. It pulls into the same gas station where the first arrests happened. You can see our video as we're stopped at a red light while other agents box the truck in. But this time is different. This time, we have video from 2 very different perspectives. Watch as our video shows an agent approach the passenger side door.
No.
This is cell phone video taken from inside the truck at that very moment. The 3 men inside refuse to open the door or speak to ICE agents.
I'm a local citizen. No, I was born in Lake. No.
At this point, our cameras have arrived. At first, ICE believes they may have found the remaining brother.
Do we have a target in the car?
Off camera, you can hear me speaking to Deputy Field Office Director Melendez about whether it's their suspect. I'm skeptical because I thought the man they were looking for was much larger.
That's him.
Which one?
The one that's filming us right now.
Hey, Fernandez, are you guys
He's our target.
That's him? Okay.
You getting a look? You don't think?
Yeah, we got him.
He looks much bigger here.
But back inside the truck, the man in the driver's seat knows that he's not the person ICE wants. His name is Miguel Francisco. He says he's an American citizen and he works for Girl Scouts USA. In fact, that's his employer he's on the phone with.
Yeah, they're over here. They don't even have a warrant, and they're just trying to get into my car.
Francisco shared that video and identified himself in a now viral post on social media. In it, he wrote, quote, "Didn't break a single law, yet was harassed based on my ethnicity." He called it the worst experience in my life and added, worst of all, the Q13 Fox News reporters were just there watching it all go down, felt humiliated to say the least. He later told me they scared me, speaking about ICE. Who would want to simply open their door to something like what you witnessed today? And the reality is the men, none of whom were on ICE's list of targets, did not have to open their door or speak to ICE. And after several minutes, agents decide to leave.
It doesn't look like we have our target in this vehicle, and if they're not willing to speak with us, then we're just going to let them go here.
Within hours of the enforcement actions, immigrant right groups were responding. The Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network stating in a press release, while using the excuse of looking for a particular person or persons who was not present, we have confirmed that ICE made at least 4 collateral arrests in this sweep. We are reaching out to family members and offering support. For Deputy Field Office Director Mike Melendez, he believes their work is vital to public safety. While he says there will be, quote, incidental arrests, it's their job to carry out the law, something he says they've been given more freedom to do under President Donald Trump.
The previous administration, we were working under priority enforcement programs, so we were basically limited on who we can take an action on. With the new administration that came in on board, they basically opened up the books and the full scope of what we can do, and with how the law is laid out. So we're able to take action on anybody we encounter. But again, we use our resources and focus on the worst of the worst.
So a quick thing, if you're wondering why we blurred some faces. First, we don't show faces of people who haven't been charged with a crime yet. And also, it was a stipulation from ICE that we protect the identities of their agents before we came out with them. By the way, ICE did tell us after the fact that one of the men in the white truck, that was the first set of arrests that we showed you, they did end up having a history with ICE. They had self-deported 3 times from the country. The other 2 in that truck, however, were not on ICE's radar for any reason. There's another part of this that I want to address with you quickly. So after that cell phone video we talked about was posted online showing me out with ICE, there I am, we got several calls and comments from people asking why we would even go out with ICE given how controversial their work is. Some even demanded to know why we didn't intervene and stop ICE from contacting immigrants. First, look, ICE is going to do these actions with or without us there. You have to ask yourself whether you would rather have ICE do these enforcements with no one watching or with a member of the press there to witness. And second, I've been on dozens of ride-alongs with law enforcement in my career for various reasons. It is not and cannot be the job of a reporter to intervene. We are there to observe, we're there to ask questions, and ultimately to get a better understanding of the truth. Coming up.